Do you think Payne will have an impact this season? I think Payne has to have an impact this season because obviously he was pretty bad last year, you guys, and especially during the playoffs. There was a point late in the season where I thought Payne was playing pretty well. I think I made a video about it, and I don't really remember what I said in that video because it was a long time ago, but I think there was a point where he's playing pretty well. And there was a few small flashes throughout the playoffs where he played okay minutes. But it was more the fact that he got played off the court. He played way too excited, took crazy shots. He just didn't look like Payne. You know, someone talked about this earlier. He didn't look like bubble Payne. He didn't look like Payne that earned himself a contract and a spot on this team. So I think he has to prove that he can be an impact this year. Now, how does he do that, Suns Geek? Well, off the top of my head, make your three-point shots. Be a better playmaker. Slow down. Get to the free throw line. Get to the basket. You know what I mean? Be a better defender. Earn those minutes behind Chris Paul. Because I think Eddie Johnson was talking about this on the broadcast earlier. He said something like, Payne and Landry Shamet should both be the sixth man. And by that, he meant like they have to earn it. They have to prove it. You know what I mean? Like they could both be the sixth man. Ooh, and that reminds me too. Monty Williams said something along the lines of like, even though Cam Johnson is starting, he might kind of pull him a little early and then have him come on with the bench. And I think I'm okay with that. So even though Cam Johnson would be starting, you know, you could bring in your Payne, your Landry Shamet, et cetera, busy. So Payne, he's got a lot of pressure on him, man. And he's currently dealing with a finger issue right now. So I hope he comes back soon. I hope that he plays well. Guys, I don't know if you realize how excited I am for October 19th. Because even though it was a preseason game, we saw a lot throughout this preseason and everything. The real stuff starts October 19th, Wednesday. And I am so excited. I'm excited to see what the starters look like in a real game. I'm excited to see what our bench looks like. Payne, Landry Shamet, Jock Lindell, et cetera, Dwayne Washington Jr. Couple Ish Wainwright questions here. First, what do I think of Ish? And then follow-up question, do you think Ish Wainwright is not doing as well as he was at the end of last season? I kind of talked about this earlier, sort of. I feel like we haven't seen enough of Ish Wainwright. And you could probably say, well, that's what preseason was for, Suns Geek. He should have been out there performing. I really wonder if Monty Williams didn't put him out for just to kind of see what this bench could do. You know what I mean? Because we saw a lot of Ish Wainwright last year and he played pretty well. I mean, he played well enough to, you know, get a summer league spot. He played well in summer league and then to get another two-way contract, which by the way, he still is on a two-way contract. So I think he has to prove it during the season. And that's kind of where I mentioned earlier about someone asked me like, is Ish Wainwright is Ish Wainwright a Jay Crowder replacement? It's like, can Torrey Craig and Ish Wainwright both be that Jay Crowder replacement? So I really do like Ish Wainwright. I've made a couple of videos about his journey to the NBA. Go find those on my channel. Ish Wainwright is a great dude. He works his ass off. Like if I was in a street fight, I would want Ish Wainwright right by me. You know what I mean? I know the dude is working his ass off in practice, but I just don't think we saw enough of him during the regular season. Or excuse me, during the preseason, excuse me. But I really like Ish Wainwright. I wouldn't mind us keeping him on for the rest of the season after his two-way deal is up. So we'll have to see. I hope that answers your question. If Landry Shamet played like he did against the Lakers, he will be a big impact off the bench. Exactly. In that Lakers game, Landry Shamet had 21 points in 21 minutes. He might have had a few assists in there too. But he got hot and he got hot quick. And it was just the confidence level that Landry Shamet had. And I feel like Landry Shamet's had a lot of really bad breaks. You know what I mean? Like, example, he had the 21 points and then gets injured. There were some games last season where he played very, very well throughout stretches, gave us some good minutes, and then just was inconsistent. It's really just been consistency, I think, with Landry Shamet. But can you become a better defender, Landry Shamet? Can you be a better playmaker? And I will say this, because I know a lot of people want Landry Shamet traded. His contract isn't as bad as it looks on paper. That's all I got to say. It's really not. What do I think of Damian Lee? Speaking of Damian Lee, I clicked out of I don't know why I clicked out of the numbers. So from what I've seen from Damian Lee so far, and I'm trying to say this optimistically, I mean, he hasn't really done anything that's like necessarily stood out. I mean, let's be real. Tonight, 28 minutes, 6 points, 8 boards, 3 assists. Hasn't really done anything that stood out, right? And I know he's had a few moments here and there. But one thing I have recognized is that he does have experience under his belt despite being a young player. I mean, he has won a championship with the Warriors. He spent a lot of time with the Warriors G League team. He's Steph Curry's brother-in-law or something like that. So there's like some kind of, he's got to have that brain, you know what I mean? And somebody else pointed this out. Damian Lee has a great tendency to be in the right spots. So I feel like he does know the game of basketball. And I know that Monty Williams really likes him. But again, I haven't really seen anything that's really stood out. And maybe that is going to be seen soon as the season's going to start. I hope that it works out for Damian Lee. We'll have to see. But hopefully that answers your question. Andrew says, Damian needs more time to develop with our system, but he hasn't really blown me away yet. Exactly. Dame Lee won't be pointing out to his watch anytime soon. Only gets minutes if we're desperate. We'll have to see. I mean, Monty Williams, depending on the health of this team, is probably going to go with, the usuals like our starters, Shamet, Payne, Busy, etc. But there might be a time where you might need a little bit of Damian Lee in there for his three-point shooting, for his experience. That's why I know that preseason doesn't matter, but I feel like preseason was pretty important for this bench unit for that exact reason, for having that experience, for playing those long extended minutes, being put in positions like they were tonight.